focused on this concept of financial freedom.
Right.
And I'm really excited to kind of like unpack that with you today.
Yeah, me too. It is a fascinating area.
Yeah.
And clearly something that you're prioritizing. I think a lot of people get caught up in just the numbers.
Yeah.
But as the source points out, it's really about choices, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that you had highlighted that really resonated with me was this point about value being different from cost. So when you think about those two things, like what comes to mind for you?
Well, the source uses that great example of the shoes, right?
Yeah. Like one pair is cheap, but it falls apart quickly, and the other is more expensive, but it lasts for years. And it really challenges us to think long term.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, we get so focused on that initial price tag that we miss out on what would actually be the better deal,
Totally. And we've all been there, like tempted by that bargain.
Right, yeah.
Only to regret it later.
Right.
So how do we shift our thinking, especially when it comes to, something as important as financial freedom?
Well, I think the source really emphasizes the importance of having a clear vision for your life. What are your goals? What kind of lifestyle do you want to create?
Right.
And once you have that vision, then you can start to make financial decisions that support it.
So it's not just about saving every penny.
Right.
It's about being intentional with our spending.
Exactly.
Making sure it aligns with our values and our priorities.
Exactly. It's about having a plan.
Yeah.
A roadmap for your financial journey.
And that roadmap should include things like, an emergency fund.
Oh, yes. The emergency fund. Not the most glamorous topic,
Right.
but as the source points out, essential for weathering those unexpected storms.
Yes.
That life throws our way. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think a lot of people avoid thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because it feels negative, like we're inviting bad things to happen.
Right.
But the source reframes it beautifully.
Yeah.
Calling it a buffer, a way to protect ourselves and our dreams from those inevitable bumps in the road.
I love that reframe.
Yeah.
Like it takes away the fear and makes it more about being proactive.
Right.
About taking control of our financial well-being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about peace of mind.
Yeah.
Knowing that you have a cushion to fall back on if something unexpected happens.
And speaking of, feeling secure, there's a section that you highlighted that I found really interesting.
Okay.
The source talks about how experiences often lead to more lasting happiness than material possessions.
Yes. I'm curious why that resonated with you.
Well, for me, it's about the memories, the personal growth, the stories we collect along the way. That new gadget might be shiny and exciting for a while, but the joy often fades pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But a trip you took a skill, you learned, those become part of your story, part of who you are.
And those experiences, they shape our perspectives. They teach us valuable lessons. They connect us with others.
Yes.
In a way that material possessions just can't replicate.
Exactly. They enrich our lives in a much more profound and lasting way.
It's a good reminder that financial freedom isn't just about accumulating wealth. It's about investing in experiences that bring us joy and fulfillment.
It's about creating a life that is rich in memories and personal growth in connections with others.
Now, you've also underlined a section about compound interest.
Yes.
And the source uses this really vivid analogy, describing it as a snowball rolling downhill, gaining momentum as it goes.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? I think that analogy perfectly captures the power of compound interest. Even small amounts invested consistently can grow exponentially over time.
Yeah.
It's like planting a seed and watching it grow into a mighty tree.
And the earlier we start, the more time that snowball has to grow.
Exactly.
The more powerful that tree becomes.
Time is our greatest ally when it comes to compound interest.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is you don't need to be a financial expert.
Right.
Or have a huge sum of money to get started.
That's encouraging. It makes investing feel more accessible, less intimidating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The most important thing is to start, even if it's with a small amount, and to be consistent to keep that snowball rolling.
Now, this leads us to something that you highlighted that I think is really important and sometimes overlooked.
Okay.
The power of saying no.
Oh, yes. This is something I've been working on myself. It's so easy to get caught up in the I want it now mentality. But the source really challenges us to ask ourselves, does this purchase align with my goals? Will it truly bring me lasting happiness, or is it just a fleeting desire?
It's about being mindful of our spending.
Yes.
Making choices that align with our values and our long-term vision.
And recognizing that every dollar we spend is a vote for the life we want to create.
So true. It's about being intentional, about making sure our spending reflects what truly matters to us.
It's about saying yes to our dreams.
Yeah.
By saying no to things that don't serve us.
And speaking of saying yes to our dreams,
Okay.
You've also highlighted a section about diversified income.
Right.
What is the appeal of having multiple streams of income, especially when it comes to achieving financial freedom?
Well, for me, it comes down to security and opportunity. Having multiple income streams creates a safety net,
Right.
a buffer against financial shocks.
It's like having multiple pillars supporting your financial house.
Exactly. And it's not just about playing defense.
Yeah.
It's about opening up new possibilities. With multiple income streams, you can explore new passions, develop new skills, maybe even discover a hidden talent that could lead to something amazing.
It's about having the freedom to experiment, to take risks, knowing that you have a solid foundation to fall back on.
Exactly. And that freedom, that sense of security and possibility, that's what true financial freedom is all about.
But there's so much more to explore.
Yes, definitely.
We'll pick up right where we left off.
Okay.
In part 2 of this deep dive. See you then.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive into the fundamentals of money, maximizing value.
It's great to be back.
Yeah, it's fun exploring these ideas with you.
Me too. And last time we were talking about how diversifying your income can give you more security and open up all these exciting new possibilities. And it strikes me that ties in nicely with something else that you highlighted, which is this whole idea of budgeting for joy.
Yes. It's so easy to think of a budget as just, a way to track our expenses and make sure we're not overspending.
Yeah.
But this source really flips that on its head, encouraging us to see it as a tool for, intentionally designing a life filled with joy.
It's not about restriction, it's about empowerment, right? Like choosing what truly matters to us
Thanks,
and
buddy.
allocating our resources accordingly. What stood out to you in this section?
Well, the source poses this really thought-provoking question. What would you prioritize in your joy budget?
Oh, that's a good one.
And it's an invitation to think beyond just the necessities.
Yeah.
And really examine, what brings us happiness. So for me, travel always tops that list.
Oh, nice.
Immersing myself in different cultures, trying new foods. Those experiences always leave me feeling rejuvenated and inspired.
I love that. It's about investing in those experiences that expand our horizons and create lasting memories. It's interesting because we often talk about financial goals in a very practical sense, right? Like saving for retirement, buying a house, paying off debt.
Right.
But this source reminds us that those goals should be connected to a deeper purpose.
Absolutely. And that's where this concept of having goals with a purpose comes in.
Yeah.
You actually marked up this section quite a bit.
I did.
So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, what struck me was this idea that our financial goals should be like a compass, guiding us towards the life that we want to create.
Yeah.
It's not just about accumulating wealth for the sake of it,
Right.
It's about aligning our money with our values and using it to create a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling.
The source doesn't mention this specifically.
Okay.
But I think it's worth considering. How can we use these principles to not only improve our own financial well-being, but also make a positive impact on the world around us?
That's such an important question. And it makes me think about the section that you highlighted on generosity. This source talks about balancing generosity with financial health, right? It's not just about what we keep. It's also about what we give back. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's easy to get caught up in our own financial goals and forget that we're part of a larger community.
Yeah.
But the reality is that generosity has this ripple effect.
It does.
When we help others,
Right.
we create a more positive and supportive environment for everyone. And, research even shows that giving actually boosts our own happiness. It's like a happiness multiplier.
It's amazing how interconnected it all is, right? Like our financial well-being, our personal happiness, and our ability to contribute to something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely.
It's all part of the same tapestry.
It is. And, the beauty of it is that generosity doesn't have to involve, huge sums of money. Even small acts of kindness like volunteering our time or donating to a cause we care about can make a real difference.
It's about finding ways to align our money with our values and use it as a force for good in the world.
And speaking of using money as a force for good, let's talk about investing.
Okay.
This is another area where you've made some really interesting highlights.
I have. I was really drawn to the section on compound interest.
Okay.
It's just incredible to me how small amounts invested consistently over time can grow exponentially.
It's like that snowball analogy.
It is.
The longer it rolls, the bigger it gets.
Exactly. And that's where the power of time really comes into play, right? The earlier we start investing, even if it's just with a small amount,
Right.
the more time our money has to grow.
And the source actually mentions the rule of 72,
Oh, yeah.
which is a handy little tool for estimating how long it takes for an investment to double. You ever heard that?
I have, but I would love for you to explain it.
Sure. So the rule of 72 is a simple way to calculate how long it takes for your money to double.
Okay.
given a fixed annual rate of return.
Okay.
So you simply divide 72 by the interest rate.
Okay.
So if you're earning, say, a 6% annual return, it would take approximately 12 years for your investment to double. That's so helpful.
Right. It makes the power of compound interest even more tangible.
Totally. Now, when it comes to investing, you also highlighted this concept of diversification.
Yes. The source talks about spreading your risk across different asset classes.
Right. It's like the old adage, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Precisely. Diversification helps to mitigate risk by ensuring that if one investment performs poorly, others can help to kind of cushion the blow. It's about creating a balanced portfolio that aligns with your risk tolerance and your investment goals.
And speaking of risk tolerance, the source really emphasizes the importance of understanding our own comfort level with risk.
Yes, that's key. Risk tolerance is different for everyone. Some people are naturally more comfortable with risk than others.
Right.
And our risk tolerance can change over time depending on, our financial situation, our life stage, our overall goals.
So how do we even determine our own risk tolerance?
Well, there are a variety of risk assessment tools and frameworks available online and through financial advisors.
And these tools typically involve a series of questions that help you evaluate your comfort level with different investment scenarios.
That makes sense. So it sounds like it's about being honest with ourselves about how much risk we're willing to take on, and then finding investments that align with that comfort level.
Exactly. And remember, it's not a one-time decision.
Right.
As your life changes, so too might your risk tolerance.
Right.
It's something to revisit periodically to make sure your investments are still aligned with your needs and goals.
That's a great point. It's all about staying engaged and informed, throughout our financial journey. And the source talks about the importance of continuous learning and adaptation when it comes to finances. Why is that so important?
Well, the financial landscape is constantly changing.
Yeah.
New technologies emerge, markets fluctuate, economic conditions shift.
Right.
So to make informed decisions and to stay ahead of the curve, we need to embrace a growth mindset and be open to continuously learning and adapting.
It's like we need to keep updating the software of our financial literacy.
I love that analogy.
Right.
Just as we update our phones and computers, to ensure they're running smoothly and efficiently,
Yeah.
we need to update our financial knowledge and skills to stay ahead of the game. And the source highlights that this can involve reading books, listening to podcasts, attending workshops, anything that expands our understanding of money and how to make it work for us.
It's about being proactive, seeking out new information,
Yeah.
and refining our approach as we go. Sometimes that also involves seeking guidance from others.
Oh, absolutely.
The source talks about the value of having a financial mentor or advisor.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it can be incredibly helpful, especially when we're facing complex financial decisions or feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information out there.
Right.
A financial mentor or advisor can provide valuable insights, help us identify blind spots, and offer guidance that's tailored to our specific circumstances.
It's like having a trusted guide on our financial journey, someone who can help us navigate the complexities and make informed decisions.
Exactly. They can help us create a roadmap for achieving our financial goals.
Yeah.
Whether it's saving for retirement, buying a house, or simply gaining a better understanding of our overall financial picture.
And it's about finding someone who understands your values and your vision for your life.
Absolutely.
Someone you trust to guide you on that path.
It's about building a relationship based on trust, transparency, and a shared commitment to your financial well-being.
This has been such a fascinating discussion so far.
It has.
We've explored everything from budgeting for joy to the power of compound interest to the importance of seeking guidance when needed.
And it all circles back to this central idea of aligning our money with our values and our vision for our lives.
Absolutely. It's about making our money work for us in a way that creates a life filled with purpose, meaning, and joy.
Well said.
Well, it seems we've reached a natural stopping point for this part of our deep dive. We'll be back soon with the final part of our exploration into the fundamentals of money, maximizing value. Until then, keep those financial fires burning.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to our final deep dive into the fundamentals of money, maximizing value. We've covered so much ground already, from, the power of compound interest to the importance of aligning our money with our values. But one thing that really struck me as we were going through your notes is this like subtle thread about risk that kind of runs throughout the whole source material.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's almost like the author is acknowledging that, there's an element of risk inherent in any financial decision that we make.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like a warning to avoid risk altogether. It's more about like understanding it and maybe even like embracing it in a way.
Yeah.
You highlighted this whole section about risk tolerance. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, the source emphasizes that everyone has a different comfort level when it comes to risk. Some people are naturally more inclined to embrace it,
right,
while others are more cautious. And there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
The key is to be self-aware and to make choices that align with your own personal risk tolerance.
So it's about finding that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Where you're comfortable with the level of risk that you're taking on, given your own circumstances and your financial goals.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that risk tolerance isn't static.
Right.
It can evolve over time as we gain more experience, as our financial situation changes, or even as our life circumstances shift.
Yeah.
Our comfort level with risk might also adjust.
It makes total sense. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
Right.
We need to be attuned to those internal shifts and make sure our financial decisions are still in alignment with our current, risk appetite.
Absolutely.
Now, there's another point that you highlighted that I thought was really insightful.
Okay.
The source talks about viewing mistakes as learning opportunities.
Right.
Why do you think that's so important, especially when it comes to finances?
I think it's crucial because it takes away the fear of failure. So often we avoid taking action because we're afraid of making the wrong choice.
Right.
But the source really reframes this, encouraging us to see mistakes not as setbacks, but as valuable feedback.
It's about shifting our perspective from one of fear to one of curiosity.
Exactly.
Almost like we're conducting experiments in our financial lives.
Yeah, and that ties in nicely with the idea of continuous learning that we talked about.
Right.
It's about being open to new information, to refining our approaches, to embracing the journey of financial growth, even when there are bumps along the way.
It strikes me that this source, while offering a wealth of practical advice, also encourages a certain mindset, like a way of approaching money that feels both empowered and joyful.
Absolutely.
There's a section, near the end that really speaks to this.
Yes. The author encourages us to find joy in the process of managing our money. It's not just about reaching the destination.
Right.
It's about enjoying the journey itself.
That's such a refreshing perspective.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the stress of budgeting, saving, investing.
Right.
That we forget to find enjoyment in the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when we can shift our mindset and see money management as a form of self-care, as a way of honoring our values and investing in our future, it becomes a much more positive and fulfilling experience.
It's about celebrating our wins, big and small, and appreciating the progress we're making.
Absolutely.
And it's about remembering that money is a tool that can help us create a life that's both financially secure and deeply meaningful.
Well said.
Well, it seems we've reached the end of our deep dive into the fundamentals of money, maximizing value.
It has.
What a rich and insightful exploration it's been.
It really has. We've covered so much ground, from understanding the true value of money to developing a healthy relationship with risk, to finding joy in the financial journey.
And it all comes back to this central message, aligning your money with your values, your goals, and your dreams.
Absolutely.
It's about making your money work for you in a way that creates a life you love.
And remember, the journey doesn't end here.
Yeah.
There's always more to learn, more to explore, and more to experience.
So true.
So keep that curiosity alive, keep those financial fires burning, and keep striving to unlock the true value of money in your life.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Happy exploring.